Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of This Month We Played for the month of November, where we'll be discussing the games that we played over the last month. Myself, Shane, and my co-host Ollie.
Hello.
And we'll just have fun, have a good time.
Yeah, I like how before this you adjusted your hair for all the audio viewers.
Oh yeah, just to make sure I look good. Actually, it's just to get it out of my face.
Yeah.
So, this month, Pokemon Sword and Shield came out.
It sure did.
And I know we both played that probably more than anything else.
Yeah, I just looked at my save file on the way here, and it was 40 hours in.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's a lot of what I've been playing this month.
I think I beat the champion in about, 24? And then there's post-game stuff that took longer than that. I haven't really looked at how long that took me. But, yeah, I got a decent amount of gameplay out of it, and it was fun. I liked it.
I liked it a lot. I think it's probably my favorite of what I dubbed the new gen Pokemon games, which are 6th, 7th, and 8th generations. Because those are so vastly different from those that came before it, with 5 kind of being like a bridge between the old and new styles. Mm-hmm. I like this a lot more than I did Sun and Moon, honestly, and definitely a lot more than X and Y.
X and Y was, surprisingly even just too easy for a Pokemon game.
Yeah, even aside from, the ease factor, that world wasn't, super interesting to me. None of the characters were really that interesting.
I think the most interesting character to me was the dancer.
Which one?
Out of your friend group?
Oh.
Out of your friend group, the big dude, he danced with his Pokemon. And that was a cool new thing because, Pokemon likes to explore the idea of other things Pokemon do. So you have the Pokemon shows where you show off the Pokemon, and then you have other things that the Pokemon are supposed to do. I mean, in the new game, it's what you send your Pokemon on jobs to do. So with that, which I didn't do at all the whole game, by the way, I
did some just to see what the rewards were. The only ones that seem really worth it are the EV training ones, because they're kind of a good way to EV train Pokemon that are on your bench that you aren't using.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I never used it. I forgot it existed.
Yeah.
They show it to you once and then they got past it. I mean, it's a much better gimmick than what Sun and Moon had the gimmick of take pictures. It was the Pokemon Snap gimmick, except for the Pokemon didn't move or anything. They just kind of stood there and looked at you and you just took pictures.
I like this one because it gives you a way to have your bench Pokemon gain significant experience.
Yeah.
Without needing to, and it gives you a use for all these bench Pokemon that you catch and never use.
I thought the camping mechanic was more shallow than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I was expecting more ways to interact with the Pokemon. I know that it's not touchscreen anymore, so the petting thing isn't related to using a touchscreen, but I still figured you could pet your Pokemon or do more than just play with them with one of 2 toys and then make curry, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it though, just seeing how the Pokemon react, especially when you camp with the trainers that are on the routes, and you see their teams and their Pokemon's names and everything.
There was the one camp that's just all the Evolutions.
Yeah,
that one was cool, where you got to see that. And I mean, we can avoid story spoilers for people who still want to play the game, but still talk about the gameplay mechanics for sure.
Yeah.
We can do subtle things about the story. I felt that I liked the whole thing of it being a tournament instead of being it was more. They kind of have been going along more with the idea, at least in the last 2 games, where it's going to the gyms is a challenge.
Yeah.
Where in previous games it was just kind of every city kind of just had a gym, and then the thing was oh, if you have all the badges, you can fight the Elite Four. With this one, it's been more a challenge where there's a reason why you're going through this linear path of fighting the gyms instead of just it's just the way you walked.
Yeah.
so it gives more reason oh, you start here and you finish here, and it's set up that way instead of, well, why can't I? And in some games, especially inside of the original Pokemon game, you didn't actually have to fight the gyms in the exact same order every time.
Yeah.
What was it Koga and Sabrina? You could get to Koga and Sabrina without needing anything from either of them.
And Erica too, technically, because you can technically put off doing Erica for a long time.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember which HM she gives you. It might be Surf, if I recall right. Either she or Koga gave you Surf. which you wouldn't need until you actually needed to go challenge Blaine.
I think Koga gives you Surf.
Surf is by Koga, I remember that. I just don't remember which HM license sort of thing you got for it.
Yeah, well, they don't give you the HM. They give you the ability to use it, right? Yeah.
You still have to find the HM.
You still have to find it. Yeah. I mean, the game is definitely less willing to like force you to explore to find things.
Yeah, that's been a change since like Gen 5 when they started making routes more linear and less extra paths on them, which is something I feel both positively and negatively about. I like that you don't need to, like, I especially love that you don't need, like, HM-based progression anymore.
Yeah.
And this game had a kind of clever way around that with how you get to crossing bodies of water. But I do miss having the big expansive routes with, like, a lot of things to explore. But this game, I thought, had a healthy medium. I certainly liked these routes more than Alola. I just wish there were more of them in Galar.
So I'm kind of, my big thing with this game was it definitely... You know, like previous Pokemon games will gate stuff off based on HMs. This one didn't do that. It was just kind of like, we don't want you to go here, so Team Yell is standing in the way. Yeah. There was just a lot of that. A lot of just Team Yell being in the way, and you're like, okay, I just can't go there. So what was your... You beat the champion, right?
Yep.
What was your final team?
My final team?
Yes.
I guess, spoilers for people who don't know or want to know all the Pokemon.
I mean, it's just names.
Yeah, but some people might not.
Fine, yeah. Spoiler if you don't want us to say the name of Pokemon that exist in the game.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was a Cinderace as my starter, of course. Dragapult.
Oh, so you did the deep. I have to go for this, like, what? It's like a 5% chance.
It's a 1% chance in the weather that I found it in.
Jesus.
But I got it in like sub 20 tries.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if you know the mechanic in the game, but if you... Because I actually killed the first one I fought accidentally.
Oh.
But the mechanic the game has where after you battle a Pokemon, you are incredibly likely that your next encounter, as long as it's not like, you know, a generic overworld encounter, is...
The same Pokemon?
Yeah, for like a short span, probably like a couple minutes.
That makes sense as to why when I was trying to hunt for a Darmanitan's first form?
Darumaka, yeah.
Darumaka, I just kept running into Snoms.
Yeah.
I was like, please, just give me a Darumaka.
Yeah, Darumaka, if I recall right, was like a 10 or a 5% chance on the route it was on.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are likely to find them. Anyways, the rest of my team, like you
said... So Cinderace, Dragapult, and Hatterene.
Yep. Frostmoth, Duraludon, Sandaconda.
Sandaconda is pretty cool dude. Yeah, I changed my team up a lot while going through the game. At one time, I had an Orbeetle. But what I ended with, which I actually was surprised by, normally I really love fighting types, so I have one, but I had a Surfetch'd I eventually got rid of. It was my starter, so Rillaboom. After Rillaboom, I had a Darmanitan, who was like my sweeper, pretty much.
Yeah.
He was pretty good at that. I had a Corviknight.
Yeah.
And then I also had Dreadnought, Toxtricity, and my last Pokemon... was a Kermsnarl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, if I went back, I would probably have a Centiskorch instead of Darmanitan, just because I really wanted to run through with a Centiskorch. I like that Pokemon a lot, but I just didn't end up doing that. But Darmanitan was cool. I just kind of wish instead of having Guerrilla Tactics, I had the other one where the Zen Mode one, yeah. Because I wanted to test out, like, the Ice Fire type thing.
Yeah, sadly that was locked behind a hidden ability, so it's unlikely to... find.
Can you use mints to get it?
No, that mints are for changing natures. Hidden abilities are you get the way to get hidden abilities in this game is when you fight a raid battle Pokemon, those are more likely to have their hidden ability. And then once you get a hidden ability, you can breed to keep the pass on the hidden ability, but you need to like naturally find the hidden ability.
Yeah. There's a lot of that in this game where it seems like there's kind of a lot of things that you have to like go find through like the Dynamax stuff.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's fine. It gives it the longevity of like the hunting and everything. Instead of, they're trying to make discovering it more of the priority as opposed to like EV training, where they're trying to make EV training a lot easier to do.
Yeah, like I said, the system that after you battle Pokemon, you're very likely to find, or more likely to find and know they're the same species
Shiny
is
hunting.
really good for both shiny hunting and EV training, because if you're finding the Pokemon that gives the specific EVs you want, it's a lot easier to manually EV train now. If you still want to go that route, which I think might still be faster, then the only thing faster than that would just be buying a bunch of the vitamins and giving those to your Pokemon.
When I was a kid, I never really understood what the vitamins did, so I just never used them.
The vitamins had so many hidden mechanics behind it, because you could not have more than 10 vitamins like go towards a stat. It was either that or you couldn't use vitamins after you had 100 EVs in a stat.
Yeah, I'm just having my memories go back to when I was like playing Pokemon back in like yellow version and blue version, and just like I would get those and I would be like, what does this do? And I still almost never use the like X accuracy, X attack like buff capsule things.
I only used them in times when I knew an enemy was going to use like some kind of protect type of move.
I used
because I didn't have anything else to use.
Yeah, I used mine to help evolve my Farfetch'd.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that.
yeah, I literally, because that helps you meet the requirement to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a whole, I liked the game a lot. I still have my original file, and then Aaron has Shield. So because of how Switches work, we share a Switch, but we each have a profile. So each profile is a different save file, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is a first for Pokemon games.
Yeah.
It's the first time one cartridge can have multiple save files.
Yeah.
So that's at least pretty nice. That's one of the best things they did from coming to console. And I miss some of the Pokemon that aren't in the game, like classic Pokemon that I love, like Crocodile and like a lot of the starters from previous games.
Yeah.
And we'll see as time goes on what they do with that, but
I'm very happy with the Pokedex that they ended up with, despite the fact that some Pokemon, like my favorites, didn't make it in.
yeah.
I still really enjoyed Sword and Shield a lot. I'm excited to go and breed competitive teams and try out a bunch of Pokemon that I didn't end up using on my team. Because even the final team I had, I used different Pokemon for pretty much the beginning of the game, because most of my Pokemon were endgame, like Dragapult and Duraludon. Because I did have a Corviknight for a lot of the game as a Steel-type attacker, and then also Dreadnought and stuff to help my Cinderace beat whatever his name is, the Fire Gym Leader.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember his name either.
Start with a K, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I still don't remember.
Yeah. Things like that. Like I really enjoyed the team that I brought, and also the Pokemon I found like on the way to get to the team member. One thing I forgot to say is my favorite thing about Sword and Shield is I always loved how the gym leaders were like portrayed in past Pokemon games, and especially starting with like Gen 4, they had a shift to try to make the gym leaders more than just people standing in a gym. They were like community leaders who did things for the city. This game, I think, takes that to like the extreme that it should be in the earlier generations, where they're just professional athletes that everyone loves. Yeah. That also like the authorities to try to like not necessarily like police, but they do try to like help out wherever they're needed. And I really enjoyed it. I love the spectacle of the gym battles. My favorite thing about this game is the gym leader battle music.
Yeah, it's
and
really good.
How dynamically it changes during the fight based on a lot of criteria.
I also love just the
Yeah. That exact like sound font that they use for the voices reminds me so much of Splatoon music for some reason.
Yeah, I like the idea of like including the crowd almost inside of the soundtrack and making you feel like you are like in a giant arena battle that's being watched.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. Something that was pointed out to me, I guess this could be like mildly spoilery, but Aaron pointed out to me, I think it was Aaron, pointed out to me that it was interesting that everybody talks about how the fire gym leader is like the gatekeeper, where he's like the one where a bunch of people fail at.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting because I didn't notice he's actually the first gym leader that Gigantamax is.
That's why.
So that was the reason. I didn't really understand that when I first played through it. So I thought that was pretty cool that there was almost this payoff to that thing of being like, oh, he's the first real challenge because he has the Gigantamax.
And after that point, every future gym leader that not every future gym leader you encounter, but they have a Gigantamax Pokemon as their ace.
Yeah, they all had that, and that's pretty cool. And so the game was handled pretty cool. I liked it a lot. It makes me excited for the future of what they're gonna do with the games.
Yeah.
I don't like the choice. Like, I don't really think it was even really necessary to handle the models the way they did, where they pop in.
Yeah, I mean the pop-in, it's more so a fade-in than a pop-in, because there is a state in between where the model's there and when they're not there.
Yeah.
You see them. That's just kind of a limitation of the Switch because how RAM intensive thing like a game like this would be.
Yeah. It just like it messed up immersion a lot for me. So as much as I'm sure they had reasons why they did it, it definitely like kind of messed with my head a lot when it would happen because I was like, it made things feel really empty when they weren't. Like when you get close to stuff, it's like very lively and there's tons of stuff, but it would feel empty from a distance, and that was a feels bad for me when playing the game.
Yeah, that didn't really affect my enjoyment of the game and wasn't really a thing I noticed. I do think they could kind of circumvent it if they made, I guess, more ways for them to hide the illusion of them loading in those models and stuff by having things physically obstruct them until the models are actually there. Like if they had it, because a lot of Galar is very open.
Yeah.
And a lot of the routes where you most often see this problem don't have a lot of obstructions. They could have had some natural land formations and had the trainer behind those.
Yeah.
All
right, so let's move on to another game that we've been playing this month. So, for example, I know you've been playing Death Stranding.
Yes, I have been playing Death Stranding. Not super far into it. I'm still at the early parts of the main quest. But that game is so fascinating. I've really been enjoying just the whole experience of it. I like the world that Kojima crafted, Kojima and his team. I love how that game does music. It does a lot of normal dynamic music kind of things in an open world game, but they really nailed down how to give the long stretches where you just are sort of traveling to another settlement. Some really cool backing music, usually done by a lot of different bands. I'm not sure if you've seen the list of bands and artists that did the vocal soundtrack of Death Stranding, but that part I really I loved any moment when you were just walking through, the music kicks in and it tells you exactly what band and what song is playing it. It's super Kojima in that way. The mechanics are really strange, which is I think why the game is so polarizing. Do you know of the mechanics of Death Stranding?
So I know that if the more you carry, the more difficult it is for you to balance.
Yeah.
And tripping and falling is a big deal. I know that you want to use sensors to evade what is essentially the spectral things that will try and grab at you.
Yeah.
And I know that there is shooting in the game. It's third-person shooting, I think.
I have not got to the point where there is shooting. I just know that the way some tip boxes were talking about, they talk about weapons, despite the fact that I haven't got any yet.
Gotcha.
I just presume it's something that you get probably around the halfway-ish point of the story. And I've seen titles of YouTube videos of how to kill BTs.
Yeah.
Those, honestly, I used to not like the BT part because I was really bad at actually figuring out how to stealth in this game. But once you realize how to do it, it's sort of cool, but it still makes it's not a trivially easy thing to do. You still need to...
It's tense.
Yeah, especially because I'm not sure if it's true of all BTs or just at the point I am in the game where you don't see the BTs at all point in their movement. You just sort of see that. I notice them after I take in a breath, which is one of the things you need to do around them. You need to hold your breath, but you can't hold it forever. Then I see them materialize around me, and then I know how really close they are, because your sensor does give you a vague radar for them, where it points towards one, and by how intense it's acting.
Yeah, the clicking.
Yeah. That's really hard in scenarios like I was in, where there's a lot of BTs over a huge stretch of land, and to weave your way through them was really stressful, but it was also really fun.
Yeah, it seems to me like Death Stranding is trying very hard to be its own unique thing, its own unique experience. If anything, I'm intrigued by it. It is a particular type of gameplay to the point where I like games that try to feel different than anything else. We have genres, and we know what to expect from genres, but then you have something like this that tries to avoid making you know what to expect, I guess, essentially. So I'm very interested in it. And, I'm a big person for believing that, video games are an art form, so, if you want to almost control the way that the person feels in scenarios, the emotional state that they have, and, you want them to feel isolation, you want them to feel all of this, and you want them to be engaged emotionally into something, I think that's really cool. I don't think it needs to be just this dumbed down, blind fun like veg out and have fun experience where like, yeah, that's what games can be, and that's a lot of what a lot of games are, but like not everybody needs to want the same exact thing out of what they're experiencing. So
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued by Death Stranding. I haven't gone out of my way to like get it or anything, but it seems like a cool thing, and I'm very interested to hear a lot of people's takes on the game that I know personally, as opposed to like critics, because like
It's a very polarizing game, and you've seen that in the if you've been following the reviews and anything for
yeah,
it, especially now with the Games Awards.
because it's nominated and a
nominees.
lot of people are pissed about it.
Yeah. I truly think it deserves a lot of those, especially because, like, my favorite thing about this game is how much the world intrigues me. They set up a lot of things very early on in the game that you just kind of want to find out, like, what happened, why is the world the way it is, and I'm very excited to get to those revelations as I complete the story. And even I like how this game does, like, the optional sort of... they're not really quests, they're just sort of, like, as you explore the area, there's just pieces of cargo lost everywhere, and you can return them to anywhere, but you're sort of intended to return them to the place that they're labeled for going.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed any real like side quests that were like real objectives outside of those. At least in the 6 or so hours that I've played the game so far. But I really enjoy picking up cargo. It's super physics based, and like how you need. It makes you really think about navigating these spaces that are mostly horizontal but have a lot of verticality within them. Because like when you're going downhill or uphill, that's when the real challenge of trying to balance all your cargo sort of kicks in, or when you have to ford rivers by yourself.
Yeah, I know, because the game has a feature where like people can use the same things that you've used to get across. Like, you know, somebody could leave a ladder for you.
Yeah, so when you have like your early game items are like ladders, climbing anchors that provide rope that help you either climb up or climb down safely from higher surfaces. And if you just leave them there, you can pick them up when you're done, but you can leave them there, and then they're a structure that can appear in just other people's worlds, and you get notified when they use it. The game uses likes, which are kind of like your rating, not just for the quote-unquote multiplayer aspect of it, but that's just how you're graded on the deliveries you do. You get more likes.
You literally have like the delivery driver thing or like the Uber thing or the Lyft thing where you can rate the driver kind of thing.
Basically. And you get likes for leaving your structures, and if people find them helpful. I found a lot of, like, people have... I'm actually hard at being able to identify what is a structure the game put there and what is a structure a user has put there. I think there is some indication on the map, I'm just not remembering what it is. But it's super fascinating using their structures and how, like, you can kind of make the game... Like, I'm curious to see how the landscape of the game is months from now, when either more people have played it or less people have played it, and there's maybe less structures around. It's super fascinating. Death Stranding is definitely a very fascinating game. I think the best way to describe it is it's kind of, imagine if the AAA game industry produced an indie game. Like, that's really what it is.
Yeah, because from what I've heard, like, reviewers will either be like, oh, it's really fascinating, like you are, they'll hate it. Or I've also heard the take of, like, I can understand why this game would be really fascinating to some people and why it would be really good, but it's not. It's just not for me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I'm definitely in the camp of, like, I'm a very enfranchised person of Kojima and Kojima's work, so I see the game as a piece of work that he's made. I'm all in on that because I'm a Kojima fan.
Yeah.
It's super easy to see how you can see this game and be like, what is he doing?
What the fuck is this?
Or also, like, some people might not like the fun of figuring out how to carry all these loads and what to do, and it's definitely, like, super frustrating. I think that's kind of what he was going for in a way. He really wanted to make something different, and I think he succeeded.
Yeah,
that won't stick with everyone.
Where you have to figure out solutions to problems, and, like, a lot of them can be grating and frustrating. It's a frustrating experience, and for some people, like, figuring out how to navigate through this frustrating experience is what they really like. There's tons of videos of people making fun of the game, like trying to show off it being, like, quote unquote bad by, like, trying to Skyrim style, like, hop up mountains, or trying to, like, or like riding their motorcycle into, like, tiny rocks and then being stopped constantly and stuff like that, which is mostly just, like, exclusively highlighting anything that you can find that is quote unquote bad about the game, even if it's not the way that the game intends you to go about things.
Yeah.
And then just like making fun of it, which is like fine. But a lot of people look at that and then they're just like, that's Death Stranding to them. Like that's their perception of the game, and it's like that's not a very honest it's not a very honest perception of it, or like not even really giving it a good opportunity to get an idea of what it is. So moving on, Dota just dropped Fat, like their yearly change the whole game thing.
And it seems like it really did change the whole game from the descriptions you've given it.
Yeah. I mean, people have been making jokes about like, how it's like Dodablo, it's like Diablo Dota and stuff like that. I mean, so at its core, it's still very much Dota. Like it still works pretty much the same. It's really just like more on the already existent of what we had. So like, you originally in Dota, each team had one courier. Now every person has an individual courier. Couriers are like a unit that can bring you items from the shop, so you don't have to go back to base to buy things. And your personal courier can die, so enemies can kill it. So you have to be careful not to let it get killed. And you can control it yourself, control where it moves and everything. But in the old game, you had to fight people kind of for like courier usage and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I like the change. I think it's nice. I understand like a lot of people don't like major changes like this. They think it's like simplifying the game and stuff like that. It really depends.
How did it work before if multiple people bought something from the shop? Like, would the courier carry that for everyone and they would have to navigate a path to each person?
So you can give it commands like bring me my items, where you don't have to actually like, physically control a unit. Because Dota's built on a system based off of Warcraft 3. So unlike other MOBAs like League of Legends or even like Smite, you can deselect your primary unit. Yeah. So you can deselect your hero, which allows you to micro things and control other things like an RTS. So you can do that with the courier. So you could load up multiple items on it, and then have the courier like move around the map, bring it to everybody.
Yeah.
You just have to manually kind of do that, as opposed to like now you just have your own courier, so nobody else is ever trying to control the courier. It's just you. It's like a smaller scale change compared to the fact that they did map changes, they moved stuff around, they added these new structures that are essentially like, they remind me of like Heroes of the Storm's like vision points, where you control them and they give you vision of the area as long as you control them, but people can just channel on it for 6 seconds and then anybody can do it. So you fight over those, they just give you vision. You can teleport to them as long as you control them, which is a big deal. Having that ability to immediately teleport to that area is a big deal.
Is it instantaneous teleport, or do you need to channel it for a bit?
Same as every other teleport, so you have to channel it. But the biggest change to the game is that now when you kill jungle camps, there's a 10% chance they'll drop an item, a unique jungle exclusive item.
Oh, so it's not like a shop item. Or...
No, it's they're like 65 new items, which is more items than they've ever added to the game. And the way it works is essentially it's tiers based on the timer. So like early in the game, you got tier 1 items. Hit like 15-20 minutes, you're getting tier 2 items. Hit like 40 minutes, you're getting tier 3 items. Like 50-55 or something like that, tier 4 items, and then like the max tier is like 70 plus minutes into the game. So farming the jungle is super important because you get these free items.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are concerned because it's random drops, and like random drops on the like these items that can be really effective, and it's random which item you get. So it could be an item that nobody on your team can really use, or it could be an item that makes one of the characters on your team crazy. So people are really worried about the balance of the game.
I missed this part of your explanation. Can you only get the one in that tier? Like once that minute mark is passed, you can no longer get tier 1 items?
Yeah. It's you can only get the tier
so just
that's
within your
there.
tier for that.
Yeah, because I mean, like as it goes on, the later tier bit.
Yeah, like imagine the feels bad if you're in the tier 5 mark where you get a tier 1 item.
Yeah, and most of the tier 5 items are insane. They're insane.
Better than shop items, or
in some cases, yeah, pretty crazy pretty crazy stuff that can like be insane. It's just like, I think for a long time Dota's had an issue where like finishing the match has been kind of, especially at a professional like field, because you want to play as safe as possible.
Yeah,
it's a slog. I see people with like 40,000 gold leads, which is very significant, and then they're just still like playing it safe, playing it not like pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
They're just securing their win over time. And I think what this is doing is essentially trying to make it so that like the more of the map that you control, the easier it is for you to just gain altogether supremacy. You have the jungle's camps, so you're farming these items.
Yeah.
You have the towers, so you have this vision and these teleport points. And so, like, it's trying to make it easier for teams that are ahead, I think, to just push it in and finish. Which is cool. It's going to take a lot of balancing to figure out the items. I don't know how much I like the 10% drop chance and the items being random. I might like it more if they implemented a system of, like, every time you kill a creep camp, your team gets, like, a banked up amount of points, and then, like, you can spend that on a specific item in the current tier from the shop.
Yeah.
That might be better, because that's not random.
Do different jungle enemies have different drop rates, or is it just a flat 10%?
All of the camps have a 10% drop rate.
It'd be kind of cool if they had, like, maybe, like, a wandering mob or something that had, like, a higher, like, drop
more
rate.
Difficult. So there's the Ancients, which are, like, a more difficult camp to kill, that each side only has one camp of that. So maybe if the Ancient had a higher chance of dropping it. And you also can't really kill the Ancients until a certain point in the game most time. It's difficult to kill them before, like, certain levels for most characters. Yeah, they're going to have to tweak it. It's a really big balancing nightmare that they've put on themselves, and I'm interested to see how they try to solve it. But for now,
and
it's
how
fun.
Players solve it, too.
Yeah, and most of what players have been doing is just prioritizing the shit out of playing characters who can farm the jungle really fast, really efficiently. Yeah, so you're seeing characters who are really good at jungling just being, like, picked up because people, they don't care. It's like, oh, we wiped the enemy team, cool, let's go jungle. Like, they don't even care about pushing anymore. They're like, jungle to get these items. So it's the Wildlands right now. It's literally just like, it's the Wild West of Dota right now as everybody figures out what the fuck they're doing. And then they added the 2 new characters. 2 new characters are really cool.
Do any of them fit into that, like, can tackle the jungle, like, role that the metagame is trying to adopt, or?
Not necessarily. Neither of them are, like, particularly like flash farm is what they're called when they can farm, like, camps really quickly.
Yeah.
Neither of them really fit into that category because one of them is, like, kind of like a burst kill assassin character, which is Void Spirit, where he, like, mostly does a lot of magical burst, and he's weird. He has, like, his ultimate is the traditional samurai, like, dash slash, where you slash somebody and then after a delay they get sliced kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he has that going on. He has a lot of mobility, so he's very tricksy, but I don't see him as, like, much more than, like, a, like, kind of a single target murderer. He wants to, like, find single out a person, kill them. Well, the other character is, like, weird. She's, like, kind of got a little bit of supportiness to her, but also she's, like, a mortar. Because you have, her basic abilities are, like, she has, like, her shotgun that she can shoot, and it'll, like, slow people in a cone and deal damage. And then she can throw a cookie to herself or an ally, and it makes them hop. And when they land, they stun. So you can, like, use it on allies to help them chase, or use it on yourself to engage or get out.
What happens if the cookie hits an enemy? Does it not do anything?
It's point target.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can't hit enemies. That would be funny, though.
Yeah.
And then she has, like, an auto attack modifier where her gun just she just gets on her turret, gains increased range, and then just, like, slows attack speed. But her ultimate is, like, she can't use it next to herself, so she has to use it at a distance. It's got a huge range, and it's just, like, mortar gunk shots that put, like, armor-shredding magma on the ground, and you just keep, like, shooting, like, 8 of them, or, like, 10 of them, and it's called, like, her lizard's name is Mortimer, it's called Mortimer's Kisses, which is pretty good. So both of them are in a position where, like, I like their designs, but I don't know what they're going to be doing.
Especially when people are trying to, discover a new metagame with all the changes.
Yeah, nobody knows what the hell's going on in the game, so then they're also trying to figure out what the hell these characters do. I guarantee you that Void Spirit will be a core, which means that he will require farm priority. He won't be supporting.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that because I don't think he offers anything as a support. Not really. The Snapfire character, she could be a support. I'm leaning more towards her needing the resources that you give to a core to be useful because her abilities aren't that great if she falls behind. Like, the cookie is good. That's a good support ability.
Yeah.
But everything else she has is, like, I guess she slows people with her shotgun, but other than that, it's like, I don't know how, like, at most, I think she'll be a semi-support. So, like, the position 4, which is, like, a support, but you don't take on all of the responsibilities that the hard support does.
Yeah.
You get some priority inside of, like, farming and leveling. Because I don't think she's efficient enough just with her toolkit to be effective without getting any resources. So it's interesting. I had fun playing a couple games. There's some fun changes they added. Some like new characters got tweaked. Some characters got some reworks and stuff. That's seeming pretty effective. I like the werewolf character. Lycan got the ability to where he can give somebody else lycanthropy. So like there's the Aghanim Scepter inside of Dota 2 where every character, when you buy it, it gives you an additional ability or amplifies an ability. So it's unique for every character.
Yeah.
It's my favorite item in the game for that reason. And Lycan's is if you buy an Aghanim Scepter, he can bite someone and infect someone on his team so they can shapeshift into a wolf briefly, and they gain lycanthropy. So that's
like
really
as
cool.
an activated ability, they just gain.
Yeah, they just gain that.
Ability?
I think
that's cool.
I don't know if it's like a one-time use thing or like immediately when he bites them. I haven't actually tested it out, but it's really cool. I like that. I like seeing stuff like that. There's like Kunkka where his Aghanims is like he turns into like randomly around him just torrents of water will just shoot up from the ground. And so he just like turns into a hazard by being there.
Yeah,
it's like pretty wonky and crazy. So and then another big thing they added is so they have the talent trees. It's the talent system that they added a while ago, where that's kind of a way where you can like do more expressive stuff, where you can focus on something, where you pick one of two at every level. If I remember, it's level 10, 15, 20, and 25. And then now you can hit level 30, and if you hit level 30, you unlock every talent in the whole tree. So your choices don't matter at that point. You just unlock everything, which is kind of cool. They're like I said, they're trying to make the late game the team that gets ahead get more and more and more ahead to the point where I think that they're making it so it's easier for you to like with map supremacy end the game faster, and I think that's good because Dota matches that go on for over 70 minutes need to end.
That's a lot for a game
for
like
a multiplayer game. Yeah. Even for pro matches, like watching pro matches that go like an hour and a half, and you're just like, dude, I just need to like. I like watching this, but there's so much downtime of nothing happening.
Yeah.
And so it's this thing of you just really want things to move forward. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'm sure the game is unbalanced right now, where we have qualifiers coming up for a major, and I'm sure people in the qualifiers are going to do some crazy, stupid, dumb garbage. And they only have a couple days to figure out what they want to do, so it'll be exciting to see that crazy, stupid, dumb garbage. So, and you've been playing Monster Hunter.
Yep, I've been... The last games I've played this month are kind of like all the games that have, like, not necessarily seasonal, but, like, every so often they have content updates. Because the one I played probably the shortest is Tetris 99, which just had a little Pokemon Sword and Shield event like Tetris 99 does with most games that come out.
For Nintendo?
Yeah. Where you can just unlock a new theme. I usually just grind that out in the night. Still fun playing that game. I need to actually dedicate more time to playing it because I'm no longer as good as I was. Grinding the matches takes more time each time.
Yeah, I know that feel.
Better. And then... Smash does a similar thing where Smash had some Sword and Shield spirits, so I unlocked those, and every so often I just play games of Smash. Also because Terry was out.
Oh, Terry.
And Terry's really fun. Doing his campaign and everything. I like that sort of content you get on the day of a new DLC character release, where you just go through their classic, go through their
you get to experience them.
Yeah.
Even most fighting games, people will do that. Like whenever Street Fighter gets a new character, you run through their classic mode, and you get like a little bit of story and stuff.
Yeah, I really like Terry. He's definitely a character I'm considering like picking up more. My favorite thing about the whole Terry thing is like you can tell from watching like Sakurai's like not direct, but his presentation about it, like how much Sakurai is a fan of like SNK and
Fatal he was so excited to put all those characters in the background.
And I love seeing those touches. It makes me really want to go and like play all these SNK games to like sort of experience that history.
Especially the one character who he's not in the most recent KOF game, but I love him. His name escapes me right now, but he's like the criminal bruiser character that's like he's like hunched over and he has like his hands in his pockets, but he just like beats the absolute shit out of you. He's in the background of one of the stages.
Yeah.
I can look it up later to figure out what his name is. And then so Monster Hunter Worlds with Iceborne, that finally came out.
Yep. That's been out. I've been the new content they had this month was they had the Resident Evil collab.
Gotcha.
And then I believe currently going on is the Horizon Zero Dawn: The Frozen Wilds collaboration content.
I didn't know they were doing Horizon Zero Dawn one.
Only on the PS4 version, of course, because Horizon's a PS4 property.
Exclusivity.
They did it with the in just base Monster Hunter World, there was 2 Horizon Zero Dawn campaigns, which had, just you can craft Aloy's armor, some armor for your cat that looks like a Watcher, that sort of stuff. I haven't been in the game for a while just because Death Stranding's been out and Pokemon's been out. And right now I'm at like the slow part of the quests where there's just a lot of quests and I don't really want to do all of them. But I am very close to getting through the campaign of Iceborne, and then it's going to be really fun after that. I'm really excited to get back into it because just a few days ago they announced one of my favorite monsters is going to be in the new free update that comes out early December.
What's that monster?
The Stygian Zinogre, which Zinogre was added to the game. It was one of the last monsters we knew about, where it's a returning monster. It's a wolf wyvern that because most things in Monster Hunter are like part wyvern.
Yeah.
This one has like no flight capabilities. It's just a wolf that charges. The base one charges electricity by channeling bugs on its back. The same bugs you use to make like shock traps and stuff.
Yeah.
Which notably makes shock traps actually boost the power of a Zinogre. At least in previous games, I've not fought a Zinogre yet in Iceborne to confirm that. But the Stygian Zinogre has a different color palette. It's gray, black, and red. And it changes from being Thunder Element to Dragon Element, which Dragon Element is kind of like Dragon in Pokemon, where Dragon Element is used to take on other dragons. But I just really like the design of that monster. I love how Zinogre fights, because he's a lot different from other monsters in that game, being grounded completely. And he has a lot of like almost exactly Tatsumaki spins in his arsenal. And seeing a harder version of that is very exciting. And they also teased a new big Elder Dragon that looks like a completely new monster that the community is speculating on whatever the hell it could be. But it's always really exciting to get the big endgame fights that are completely new monsters.
Yeah.
Especially since Stygian Zinogre is a subspecies, so some people would probably be sad if that was the only monster we're getting in the update just because it's just a variant of an existing monster and not a completely new thing.
Yeah. Aside from that, I am kind of excited both for there's a new Total War Lord pack that just got announced literally today.
Yeah.
Right before we started.
Right before.
Yeah. And so I was not expecting... I was expecting Malice Darkblade, which is the Dark Elf character. I wasn't expecting the Skaven one, which is the leader of the Assassin Clan Eshin. I was expecting the leader of Clan Volder to show up. Well, not the leader, but the figurehead character. Because the leaders are like random named characters that never show up on the tabletop. Because Skaven leaders don't fucking fight. They make other people fight for them. But I was expecting to see the other one. So he might show up as free DLC. I didn't see if they actually announced the free DLC that would come with it. Also, League of Legends announced a new character, which I'm interested in, because his whole thing is that he only has one ability technically at a time, and then he swaps between 5 guns, and these 5 different guns will go back into a cycle when they run out of ammo. And you have your primary and your sidearm, and you can just swap by pressing W, and then your Q is based on which gun you have out, and then there's passive elements that go along with whichever you have as a sidearm. And then your ultimate has a passive element based on whichever gun is your sidearm. So it's a lot of like you have to think about what's your sidearm and like what guns you have.
Yeah.
And the different guns have different firing types, and they all have a different active for your Q. You have no E. You just have Q and then W to swap.
Does the Q refresh if you switch a gun? Okay.
Yes. It's linked to the gun. It's not linked to
The
last time you used your Q.
yeah.
So he's very interesting looking. I like that. For a long time, League of Legends realized that a lot of their attack damage carry designs were very stagnant and uninteresting because it was the same thing over and over again with slight differentiation things. So they've moved away from having I press R button to do big damage attack to like their ultimates being more utility, more focused around like different unique things that they can do as opposed to just like this is a skill shot that do big damage, which it was for a long time. I'm interested in those to see. I don't know if you're interested in anything for the next month.
Yeah, right now I think I'm at the point in the year where there's not really a big game coming out that I'm super excited for. Like Sword and Shield was the last one, and the games that at least immediately come to mind come out like sometime into 2020.
Yeah, for me it's mostly just stuff getting updated that I already like. So
yeah,
that's
for me it's like trying to get into my backlog because I've not yet played Hollow Knight, and I've had that sitting on my dresser, and I really want to play that.
Me too. I think the only other thing I forgot that I did this month was like the new For Honor character came out.
Oh,
they're kind of cool. Like I like the Chinese faction a lot, and they're like, I like their aesthetic. They're based on like fire, so they have like a burned face, and they have like abilities based on like firebombing people, and they just have like a
The Fire
two-handed
Nation.
yeah, like a two-handed longsword. You know, not a traditional longsword, whatever the Chinese equivalent of that is, but they're pretty cool. They added a new Chinese-themed siege map, so that's kind of cool. But other than that, I just hop onto For Honor when a new character comes out, play a little bit, and then I just don't touch it because nobody plays the game with me. Nobody plays For Honor. I mean, people do, just nobody I hang out with.
Yeah.
All right, so,
Game is completely dead.
no, it's not. I'm hoping that they get another really, really big update on the level of what they got with the China faction. I would love to see like a Zulu warrior, like some African, or even maybe some like Aztec or American Indian like factions. I think that would be really fucking cool. But
Yeah.
anyways, so that should be good for this month. We'll be back next month to talk about the things that we've experienced, which will probably just be the same stuff but with new shit.
Or we could potentially even do one for looking back at the whole year.
Yeah, we could do a year one too, which might be good. Everybody can let us know in the comments if they would like to see a year-based one. I think that would be fun for going back on the entire year. So thanks everybody for joining us today, and I hope that everybody has a wonderful evening, and I'll also thank Ali for coming out.
No problem.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.